My name's Larissa. I grew up Gen X, and I got issues. Yeah. Many times we grow up with a lot of the fun things, the music, the dress, the culture. We hear all these different things that happened in the 70s and 80s, But the parts that we don't talk about are what makes Gen X Gen X. Because, see, many of us have a few things that's going on with us that um, we don't quite know how to express, right? We haven't healed from, right? And so I just want to share my story, and let's go on and go through this journey together because uh, it's needed. It's needed. Now you know it's needed. But let me just talk about. So today, this week, it's going to be about uh, growing up with a narcissistic parent. Okay, uh, growing up with a narcissistic parent is like living under a heavy cloud of confusion, fear, and emotional exhaustion. It's an experience that shapes you in ways you don't fully realize until much later in life, and by then, the damage has been done. If you lived it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The constant need to tiptoe around their mood swings, the feeling that nothing you do is ever good enough, and the deep loneliness that comes from never truly feeling seen for who you are. A narcissistic parent doesn't just shape your childhood, they shape your entire understanding of relationships, love, and self worth. They can make you feel like you're not enough while simultaneously making everything about themselves. And when you're a child, you don't have the ability to name what's happening. You only know that you're hurting and that you don't know why. The emotional manipulation at its core, narcissism is about control and self-absorption. A narcissistic parent views their child not as an individual who needs needs and desires of their own, but as an extension of themselves. I was expected to constantly do right, be and not mess up, because if I messed up, that was my ass. It was. Okay, so many times I was met with cruelness, anger, or worse, the silent treatment. But I always sought my mother's approval. But the need for approval becomes almost obsessive, like a drug. It can. You spend your childhood trying to earn their love, thinking that if you just do everything right, they'll finally see you, appreciate you, and love you for who you are. But the reality is, no matter how hard you try, it's never enough. Narcissistic parents are masters at moving the goalposts. One day they'll demand perfection in your schoolwork. The next they'll criticize you for not being outgoing enough. You're not saying enough, or your schoolwork's not enough. You're expressing too much emotion. This constant state of seeking approval is exhausting, and it carries over into adulthood. You might find yourself in relationships where you're trying to prove your worth, or in jobs where you never feel you're good enough. The belief that you inherently flawed becomes ingrained in your psyche, making it difficult to form healthy connections with others, or even with yourself. For me, this need for approval showed up in everything I did. I became a people pleaser, constantly bending over backward to make sure everyone around me was happy and taken care of and safe. I would sacrifice my own needs and desires just to avoid conflict or disapproval. In relationships, I found myself drawn to people who were emotionally unavailable or manipulative, just like my mother. I came across as needy. It was the only kind of love I knew. Love that came with conditions, strings attached, and constant emotional turmoil. So, you know, Now there is a long-term wait. Now there is long-term impact on self-worth. The emotional manipulation, the gaslighting and control from a narcissistic parent leave deep scars on your self-worth. You grow up feeling like you're never enough, like there's something inherently wrong with you. You learn to suppress your emotions because expressing them only leads to more pain. You start to believe that your needs don't matter, that your value comes from how well you can meet others' expectations. This impact on self worth doesn't just disappear when you leave home, it follows you into adulthood, affecting your relationships, your career, and your sense of identity. You might find yourself constantly seeking validation from others or feeling like a fraud no matter how much you achieve. The voice of your narcissistic parent becomes an internal dialogue, a critic that always reminding you of your flaws and your failures. But here's the thing, you are enough. You always were. The problem wasn't you. It was the distorted, toxic relation, the environment. It was the problem wasn't you. Oh wait. Okay. The problem wasn't you. It was the distorted, toxic environment you were raised in. And while the journey to healing isn't easy, it is possible. You can break free from the cycle of emotional manipulation and reclaim your sense of self worth. The first step is recognizing the impact that a narcissistic parent had on your life and understanding that you have the power to change your story. This is the beginning of a journey, one that acknowledges the pain of your past, but also opens the door to healing and growth. It's not about blaming or wallowing in the hurt. It's about understanding the impact so that you can take steps to heal and move forward. You don't have to carry the weight of your childhood forever. There is a path to freedom and peace, and it starts with recognizing the truth of your experience. You are not invisible. You are not invisible. You just wounded. And so let the healing journey begin. Right? Okay. So we can really go back and enjoy that really cool music from the 70s and the 80s and stuff like that. So we can really appreciate all of the accomplishments that we have. Let me tell you a little story. You know, when I got my master's degree and it came in the mail, I didn't feel nothing about it. That's a huge accomplishment, especially for a person who had dropped out of high school, who had grown up Gen X and came of age in the 80s in Oakland, California during the crack era. That was a huge feat. Yeah. My bachelor's degree, it was nice. The master's, I just didn't feel nothing about it. So what is being said, you may be understanding and feeling of what some of what I'm saying to you. Um, just know that you're not by yourself. All right. There's so many of us out here, and people don't understand us. We do have a responsibility now. We may not have had control over what happened then, but we do have control over what happens now. And that person that's wounded many of us emotionally got stuck right there. For me, it was around 7 or 8. That's when my life was turning and all kinds of things were happening to this Gen X child. And it shaped my outlook of the world. The world was a hostile place. And if the person, the woman, or the person or the people that were supposed to say, gotta paint them, okay? If they are the first people that are in my lives, and they're the first ones I see, and the first people that I fall in love with, and they don't protect you, and they are actually harming you emotionally, physically, psychologically, mentally, unbeknownst to them, because it was probably done to them too. But then my question became, well, since you didn't know what happened to you, I mean, you knew what happened to you, then don't you know how that feels? So I'm saying that to all of the Gen Xers that are out there that are taking this same journey that I'm taking, right? And They say when, we still have a chance, we to live the second half of our lives like in total bliss. God has never left us. He has never forsaken us. In fact, it was us. It was him that carried us through those crazy times growing up Gen X. Right? But many of us are still stuck and still wounded. And until that is healed on the inside, then never going to find peace. So I'm on the journey. Okay, I've been on this journey now for the past 4 years, intensely, and I will tell you that I began with trauma therapy. I did, and I did that for 9 months, every single week. Best thing that happened to me. Was it rough? Yeah, because all of those emotions are suppressed. Remember, so now I start to feel. See, back then I did other things so that I wouldn't feel. Today, I'm making a decision that I want to feel because I want to feel everything that God has for me, right? This thing called life is actually beautiful. And not the economy or anybody's rhetoric or anything like that could ever change that. So, and May 4th, 2020, I was saved. And here I am today living my best life. And I am on the journey, right? But I say I'm living my best life because I don't feel like that anymore. There's still some remnants there, and there probably always will be, but they will be doable. You know what I'm saying? So, anyways, come with me on this journey. Next week, we have another topic. So, this week is narcissistic parents, Gen X, growing up as narcissistic parents. If you like this video, go ahead and click that like. That would really help me out a lot. Let me know, hey, listen, then maybe we could keep on going with this, right? You never know how many people I could touch, you could touch, because we did not go through any of this in vain. Believe you me. Now, I'm a firm believer in that. Now, what we do with it from this point forward is a different story, but it is a story that is yet to be written, but we hold the pen. And we hold the pen, right? We can write this any way we choose to. So, anyways, I love to say power to the people. That's my thing, because the people have the power. So, until next time, bye.